Hey everybody, and welcome back for episode 3. I just wanted to thank everybody for hanging around for the ride. It's been a fun journey, and I'm glad to see everybody's been loving what I've been putting out. It's really cool to hear feedback from everybody. Um, Starting today, I'm going to be doing an episode on comic books, something I've wanted to do for a while. I'm going to be focusing on today issue number 1 of the independent comic book by David Lapham, Stray Bullets. This one is just a really cool read, and I'm going to go into that in just a minute. I figured I'd start off by telling you a little bit more about myself. I'm 49. I'm a Toms River native of Toms River, New Jersey, a little place in southern Jersey, or some people will call it Central Jersey, depending on who you to talk to. That's nor here nor there. I started off as a kid with comic books. Basically, my mom and dad, they had me do stuff around the house, and they occasionally give me an allowance, or they'd have me go to the store and pick something up, and they'd let me keep the change. And back then, you didn't have comic book shops. The next comic book shop in our area was about, I think it was about maybe a half an hour to a 40-minute ride. So I have heard of this mythical place as a kid called the comic book shop, but I had no access to it. So my access to the world of comic books came through the local 7-Eleven usually, or the grocery store, like the local food town. I started off reading silly things like Jughead and Archie, and I still have a fondness for those. And then I worked my way into Spider-Man, like most kids who didn't like the idea of Spider-Man, a kid that could shoot spider webs and climb walls and get all the bad guys. They had this wonderful series at my local 7-Eleven that popped up every month called Marvel Tales, and Marvel Tales was basically the best way to get like instant access to the world of Spider-Man, at least according to me, because it just reprinted all the old stuff from like the 60s all the way up. And what was nice back then is a lot of the storylines weren't like these storylines where you weren't in part 4 of part 6. You could go in, and a lot of the stories, majority of them were just single serve, and it was great. So that's kind of like how my love for comic books grew. And then eventually we did get a little comic book shop. It was awesome. I was probably like in 7th or 8th grade, and there was a local place called Steve's Comic Relief that opened up, and it was literally about 15 minutes away. So I could get on my old bike and drive down there and pick up all my comic books, and it was awesome. And not to mention, there was a little movie theater in the same plaza. So for a film geek / comic book geek, it was a perfect world. It was just absolutely fantastic. And I grew to love Spider-Man. Of course, like I mentioned, I started rereading. I started reading Ghost Rider, because again, they published the original run of Ghost Rider with Johnny Blaze in reprints. So I got into that world, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I was hooked. And from there, I started like working my way into like some of the DC stuff, like Spider-Man. Not Spider-Man, excuse me, Batman, Superman. My favorite DC character will always be the Spectre, who I think is absolutely phenomenal. It's just a dark, cool character, a must read, and I feel like he kind of gets swept under the rug. So like stuff like that, and that was like pretty much a lot of the stuff that I read all the way throughout, probably up until high school. And even then I still read it sporadically. My taste changed a little bit. They grew a little bit. I started venturing into the world of indie comics, and I started seeing like all this cool stuff, like for anyone that's not familiar with stuff like Peter Bag's Hate, which is phenomenal. It's just a hilarious comic book. Another one, Evan Dorkin's Milk and Cheese, just crazy. A wedge of cheese and a carton of milk that go on just a reign of terror, and all done in this really weird cartoony stuff. This is all stuff that I would like to review for you guys, because I think I can do a deep dive, and it's stuff that I think you guys would like. So that leads me to our featured comic book again, Stray Bullets by David Lapham, number 1. Phenomenal. Again, I know I'm showing my card too early, guys. I'm giving you the review right now. It's amazing in every possible way. David Lapham, what's cool about him, for me at least, being a kid from Toms River, New Jersey, a teenager, I probably read it, no, I read it probably in my early 20s because it came out, the first issue came out in March of 1995. Dave was a guy that started off, he's from, number 1, he's from Toms River, which is awesome. It's cool to see like a Toms River kid do good. He started off working in 1990 for Valiant Comics. He was a penciler. And then he worked with Jim Shooter, who was a guy that was a big star over at Marvel when he started Defiant Comics. And he worked on Warriors of Plasm, which came out in 93. Unfortunately, that series, I thought it was cool, but a lot of people are trying to start their own thing because the reality is Marvel and DC did not treat their people that well. It's something people don't want to hear, but if you don't know a ton about the comic industry, they didn't. So a lot of people left. Obviously you know about like Erik Larsen, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, they all started Image. Well, a lot of people did that, and Jim Shooter tried doing the same thing. Unfortunately, this did not work out for him, and it was a cool experiment. And like I said, I liked a lot of the titles that came out through Jim Shooter and Defiant Comics, but it was a failed experiment, unfortunately. The one good thing that came about this is, I guess, Dave realized, like, hey, I want to do my own thing. So in March of 1995, he published the first issue of Stray Bullets. He wrote and did the pencils on it, which is pretty amazing, And, it's like I said, especially from a guy from small town, and he self-published. And, self-publishing is not an easy route, but he did it, and that's pretty freaking awesome. So I guess now is a good time to just go into the story. The first issue is called The Look of Love, and it's a fucked up tale. This whole series, just is about a bunch of characters. Obviously, that's a given, I know, right? But it's about a bunch of characters that lives intersect throughout the whole series. It's basically like a crime series. It's hard to describe. It really is. I'm struggling here, guys. I'm just reviewing here, so I should be able to do this. It would be almost, and I don't want to say it is, but it reminds me of Pulp Fiction to some degree, married with Sin City. It's that those intersecting lives that connect. It goes back and forth throughout time and introduces different characters. But it's at its core, it's a crime story with a really dark tone as far as the humor goes. It's really fucked up. It ran in its initial run from 1995 till 2005, sporadically. Like most independent publishers, it's a tough road to go down. So Dave did a lot of work for the big boys, like Marvel, DC, and just a slew of other work. And then in 2005, he took a break, and then came back in 2014. He finished the 41st issue, because he had never gotten around to that, so he finished that. But at the same time, it was pretty awesome because he did that. And then he started the next chapter, which was called Sunshine and Roses. Sunshine and Roses ran through 2020, and that was also, I believe, 41 issues. Another really cool series, and a must-read for everybody. So yeah, it was really cool, and that was released by Image. So he had a little backing, so it was a little bit easier on him. So that's kind of like the basic lowdown on David Lapham. Now I'm gonna go back here and get into The Look of Love. Look of Love is about two gangsters. They're working for this unseen character, crime boss called Harry. It looks like it could take place anywhere. based after reading it, I have a feeling it took place in Jersey, especially since David's from Jersey. Frank and Harry have this weird dynamic. Frank is kind of like this guy that's probably pushing 50, he's a little on the chubby side. He's got the thick, you can tell he has a thick Italian accent, you know, and Joey's this young, I wouldn't say kid, he probably looks like he's late teens, early 20s. There looks like there's something off about him. These guys are in the car, they're on the parkway. They just got rid of a body. It's in the back of the trunk of this car, and Joey says, "Hey, you know, I think I knew her. I think I went to high school." And Frank's like, "Nah, what are you talking about? You don't know this chick. She's just some guy that was banging Harry. She's just basically this disposable broad, you know." And he's like, "You're very lucky because, you know, he let you take a turn at her after he killed her. You know, he let her, you know, do your thing, you know." And you know, you could tell Joey's kind of like, he's like, "I know, I think I know her. You know, I really liked her. I think we connected. You know, like he's thinking like he made a connection with this chick that who's dead, then he had sex with, you know." So that's how our story starts off. So it's a little bit weird. As would have it in a lot of these type of stories, bad luck happens. They get a flat tire. They pull over to go fix the tire. Frank realizes he needs the tire iron. He says, "Hey, Joey, go get the tire iron from the back of the trunk." So Joey goes to get the tire iron from the back of the trunk, and he sees the body all wrapped up, and he's still like, you could tell something's going on in that head of his. Something's not right here, you know. He goes to hand Frank the tire iron, and then he proceeds to go to the bathroom in the woods. And next thing you know, we see a cop pull up. A cop goes up to our man Frank, and he says, "Hey, Frank, do you think you can show me your license and registration?" He goes to get his license and registration, and the next thing you know, Joey's peering out of the woods with a gun. He shoots the cop. Oh my God, what the fuck? This is becoming a clusterfuck, guys. So basically, they realize we have to get rid of this body too, as well as the dead hooker. So they throw this person in the trunk. So now we got two dead bodies. They get back on their way. Joey's talking more gibberish about how he really cares about this girl and he thinks he should be with her. And Frank's like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? It's a fucking dead chick that our boss had you kill. And then he was kind enough to let you screw it. What are you doing here?" So it gets crazy. You know, Joey's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom." He's like, Frank's like, "Why didn't you just pee?" He's like, "No, I couldn't go." Frank's upset, so they pull into a local gas station. Joey goes to use the bathroom, hopefully this time for real. While he's doing that, Frank is filling up the gas tank and making conversation with a fellow patron who also happens to be right next to him. Joey proceeds to finish going to the bathroom, and as he's walking out, he sees an open trunk. He's like, "Fuck." So he goes out there and he shoots the guy. Frank goes, "What the fuck did you do that for?" And Joey's like, "He saw what's in the trunk." And Frank's, "No, that was his trunk." At this point, everything just goes to shit. This gas station / diner that Joey just came out of the bathroom from, the cook, who must be the owner, walks out with a shotgun and proceeds to try to shoot at them. Luckily, he misses. A shootout ensues. And at this point, they just killed this guy. So they realize now they have to kill everybody else in this diner. It's just getting crazier and crazier. And so, of course, they realize they have no choice. You know, they have to get rid of the bodies. Frank's freaking out. He's like, "Harry's going to kill us once he finds out what happened. This is absolutely insane." So they pile all the bodies up. But guess what? There's not enough room in the trunk for all these fucking bodies. There's like 6 bodies. plus the original body. So Joey's like, she can come sit with me up front. And he's talking about the dead body, the girl. And Frank's just looking at him, but like, hey, he's got a point. They got to put the body somewhere. So this girl's with Joey, and they're in the front car, and Frank's freaking out, and they're like, shit, just gotta get rid of these fucking bodies. So they finally arrive at their destination. And when they arrive at their destination, it's like a lake. And at this point, they're like, we'll just get rid of the car too. We'll just push the car right into the water. And Joey's like, no, you can't get rid of her. She's mine. I love this girl. She's going to have my babies. And Frank's like, are you fucking nuts? This chick is dead. You don't know how much shit we're in. Lo and behold, that sets Joey off. He pulls out his gun and, well, he shoots Frank. Needless to say, he pushes the car in the water with Frank as well. And this is how issue 1 ends, my friends. This thing is fucking batshit crazy in the worst possible way. And I love it. It's fucking insane. From that point on, I was hooked. I knew David Lapham was a force to be reckoned with, and it's just amazing. I love every aspect of it. The artwork is fantastic. The penciling is great. The story is great. It's good stuff. Definitely give it the big thumbs up. So that's my introduction to the world of comic books. This is my review for Stray Bullets. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and get ready, because I am getting some editing stuff, so it's going to get a little better. It's not going to be as sloppy. You won't see me fumbling over my words as much, and that's going to be happening soon, I promise you. As well, we got a new episode coming up, hopefully with some luck by the end of the weekend, called Butt Boy. And that's going to be a film review, back to films again. And despite the name of that title, I promise it's not X-rated. I mean, I'm sure there are other titles that are X-rated that are Butt Boy. So you can look for those as well, but this one's not. But it is quite a movie, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys as well. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and thanks again for watching.